I have probably been the biggest critic of Siege, and I feel like the line is going Super G1 and I should love it. And I think Springer is the beginning of me starting to love the Siege line. A lot of it is because it does look G1, a lot of it is because it's what we should have gotten before in the past. But we're going to get right into this and talk about this Siege Springer. As soon as you press that like button, and also if you're new to the channel, you are listening to the Tigerian Hangar, where we talk about vintage to modern Star Wars, Transformers, video games, and other cool stuff that's on my mind. So, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, and let's get right into this. So, here he is in all of his greatness. Now, I've been looking forward to this guy, actually, since I first saw him, and I thought, wow, that's exactly what we needed. And with the Siege line, they give you so many options. Maybe it's just all the Chug has all these little options with how to use weapons, all the ports, and I think it looks really good. So let's take these weapons off real quick, which there are 20 different ways to put them on there. And let's just look at this guy. And a lot of the complaints in the car mode are that, well, he's just too thin in the back. But if you, let's go ahead and pop up a still right here. If you look at that still, it shows that he really does look a lot like the cartoon. Now, these little engine pieces on the side, they're actually further up on the, to be tune accurate, they need to be further up. There's a couple of just nitpicks that you could do. But the proportion, the overall proportion, how he's thinner in the back, matches the animation. It actually is a match. I think that was the thing that people complained about the Fans Toys version, that it was too thin in the back, and that actually was pretty close to animation accurate. So with that, let's go ahead and pop up the Generations one now. And so the Generations one looks a little bit more squared off, and it's kind of a cool look, but it's not as G1. It's definitely not as G1. And it's not as... I like it. I think it's fine. But I feel like you never really get that thing in place. Like, so too many pieces are fiddly on that. This, I feel like everything's pretty solid. Like, it's solid. Nothing's moving around on it at all. It's solid. And I like that about a figure. Now, here's all the accessories. And it's a different way of going about it than what we're used to. Because you slide those in to get the propellers. That's all going to come up. You have two small guns, kind of like the Power Master Prime, kind of like Masterpiece Rodimus, that make a bigger gun. Or you can have them have two small guns, which gives you lots of options. So you can plug this bad boy in here, plug this bad boy in here, and then you can put your swords on the side if you choose. Laces out. Oh, no. Bridges down. And then you can put this right here and just have it armored up. And there's so many options you can do. And we could just sit here all day and do more options. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can put, if you have a 5mm port, you could plug in stuff from the old Springer. Just like this. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I don't know if you'd want to or not. But see, what got me is they got away from the whole classic design, which I don't know how I feel about that just yet, because this has its pluses and minuses, but we're just so used to it as the classic design, and that's just the way things are. To turn it into the propeller and all that. So I don't know if I'm really excited about them getting away from this whole way to do business. Let's go ahead and get this thing switched to the, well, second of the 3 modes. It's transformed up into helicopter mode. Is the parts are the parts you need to get the propeller working. Slide these on. You kind of want these to go in opposite directions so it makes sense. And then you can do whatever you want with the guns. Probably the front gun here and a front gun there. And I think it looks good. I mean, this thing looks good in all modes. And so let's go ahead and put up a still, and let's get a better angle on that. All right, so there he is. And compared to the animation still, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty spot on. Again, like the thruster section here, the way this whole area here works, but it really captures the character in my opinion. It doesn't, those couple of misguided points don't keep it from meeting the look that we're expecting here. So I think it looks good in all modes. Next, let's get a comparison to the Generations one, and leaps and bounds better, more G1. It looks really good. I like it so much more. I never really liked the Generations. The helicopter mode was okay, but I just didn't feel like it captured the character in that mode. And there's also one more. There's the Asia exclusive, Toys R Us exclusive version, and there he is, which doesn't match Springer, isn't a triple changer, but I figured I'd throw it in just for fun. Here he is with the other Springer's helicopter blades on. The green's almost matched too. So let's get this guy transformed up. Okay, so I'm a fan of following these poses, which that pose there, and seeing if I can execute what they show you. And yes, I can. So he looks really good. He actually cleans up from behind relatively well. I actually have a couple of issues. Number one, when you put this, it's almost like it's got a double jointed knee here. You can fold it there, and then you can take it down more right there. But part of the transformation, you hear that snap? It snaps in place. The other side, no matter what I do, it doesn't snap in place. So, you know, one leg, the legs are exactly the same. So there's a tolerance issue there or something. I'm sure I could fiddle with that and polish it up, but wondering if I was just too rough with it, but I don't feel like I was. So, let's look at composability. You've got, of course, the head doesn't actually have that great of a range of motion. Looks like a ball socket, but not that great of a range of motion. And shoulders a bit hindered by these, but I don't mind that because that's definitely a character trait that we need. But, you know, they go all the way around, 360. Well, maybe not. You can go all the way to the back and all the way to the front. Just these things hinder way too much. But, yeah, you know, you're going to get what you want. It's not that bad. You do have the ab swivel, although the waist swivel, and this part here can just pop off. It's on a mushroom peg, so you got to be careful with that. And then you can do some crazy stuff with these hips because you can move them for the transformation, and that's what I was kind of wondering. Like, you could make this dude look taller, which looks goofy, but I know, but I'm just saying that's a thing you can do with that. And then the legs. You have movement here, and moving at the knee, which is pretty much all you need. And there's not a whole lot of, I'm not gonna beat them up too much for all that waffling, that honeycomb design that they started. And then you got the ankle tilt. Now, this really does feel like it's a huge part of the transformation, but it's there. So you could get, you know, quite a range with him. And it works. The other issue I do have with this guy is the ankles are kind of weak. And I didn't notice it at first, but after transforming it a bit, the ankles kind of get weak. So that's an issue. But really not huge, not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and get him compared up to Generations. So here they are side by side, and as you can see, more accessories over here. More G1 looking over here. And really, to me, resembles a character more. Now this is supposed to be IDW, I believe. And so there's other things kind of going on over here. But I wanted that all along. And my biggest complaint about the Siege line is how small these figures are. And I kind of felt that this was a taller than usual figure anyway. So he is shorter, but not too bad. We're going to look at another comparison here in a little bit. But let's go and look at the backs of these guys. If he stands up, no, he fell. So one other option is you can store all your stuff. You can store everything on this guy, which is cool. There's a lot of options. Backs pretty much both clean up pretty well. Let's throw in a quick animation still and see that figure does look pretty good. He looks really close to the animation, and I really like that Hasbro's giving this to us. I like that Hasbro is doing that. So what do you guys think? Which one looks better? Which one looks better next to RC? Now this is a deluxe versus a Voyager, and I do feel like RC is a bit small. Next to either option, actually, like next to either one, RC is too small. I'd like to see her a little bit taller. And then there's the Weijing RC, probably a little bit too big. Maybe if you pose them together, you want to give her a dynamic pose so she's not too big next to him. Let's see how that looks. Let's see if we're getting $5 to $10 more in plastic here. All right, it is 5.4 ounces, all loaded up, and this one is 5.3 ounces, so about the same. Not much of a difference, considering he is a lot shorter, or quite a bit shorter, but a little stockier. Here he is next to a couple of third-party options, and obviously I'm not even looking at size, I'm just looking at it design-wise, and I still think that Open Play did pretty good. And some people like the Allen, this huge beast. So, just something to take a look at. Here he is next to the Fans Toys offering, and the thing I want to point out was Fans Toys is the best offering so far, in most people's opinion, until X-Transbots comes out with their Virtuous, which that one will be the best when that one comes out. But let's one thing I want to say is they did a good job with the head sculpt, so let's compare that. I just think these are both great Springer head sculpts. They really work. They bring out the look of the character, and I like that. Big Fans Toy still wins a bit, but it's still good. Better than the other third-party options. So let me know what you think about this guy, and are you in on Siege Line? Are you in on this guy? Do you think he looks good? I personally don't like all the weathering, but some people do, so it is what it is. Like, subscribe, try to hang her out. I'm sure all of you have thought this before, but if you had Doc Brown's time machine and could go back in time, what would you do? And I'm kind of curious from you guys what you would do with the time machine. Now I'm not talking about go back in time with cures for all the diseases and all of the saving of humanity, because of course that's at the top of everybody's list. I'm talking what's third or fourth on your list, like going back in time and buying every vinyl tape Java, going back in time and getting every G1 Transformer, knit in the box, bring them back and AFA rating them. But just curious, what would you do? Would you go back in time and grab pictures that got lost in a fire? Would you go back in time? Would you grab some memorabilia that you cannot get anymore? What would you do? Better hang around.